like to party, party, party all night long. Party, party, we like to party, 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 never go home. Party, party, we like to party, party, party all night long. Party, party, we like to party, 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 never go home.
What's up, everyone, and welcome back to episode 101 of the Ball Talk Pod, here to recap just an absolute gut punch of a loss for the Oklahoma City Thunder, losing in double overtime to the San Antonio Spurs, 122-115 here in Oklahoma City. Running a solo pod tonight because I don't want to put anyone else through the agony that is talking about this game. But man, it was one of those games where it really felt like I texted some people this. I was like, I would kill to watch this game as a neutral fan because it was just an all-time classic. It's one of the ones where if you win it, you feel like you're on top of the world. Spurs fans should be talking sweep, and Thunder fans feel like just they let the biggest opportunity go away, and all of Oklahoma City is just counting down the seconds to Wednesday night to get back out there and try to even this thing up. Just some general takeaways from the game. One, Victor Wembanyama, holy effing cow, whatever you want to say about him. I mean, just completely changes how a basketball game is played. I understand the praise. It's one of those things where it feels like you got to get one now because it's his league. It was that kind of performance tonight, and that's glazing, whatever it might be, but just unreal performance from Victor Wembanyama. As we talk about this game, all the box scores, the stats are going to be inflated with it being that double overtime game. So you see like Wemby had 40 and 20 and all this stuff. And honestly, like what it comes down to when looking at that is you had two extra. You played 58 minutes of basketball tonight, and Wemby's out here doing this 40. What did he end up with? Let's see. That's the second quarter. We'll get to that. He ended up with 41 points, 24 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 blocks, 50% from 3. He shot 2 of them, 56% overall, played 48 minutes. And you just have this gaudy Victor Wembanyama line. Like just insane. He had this back-breaking 3, which we'll get into a little bit. But when you look at the other side of the box score for the Thunder, you give Shai 50 minutes of playtime. He played a career-high 51 minutes tonight. He was 7 of 23, 24 points. He did have 12 assists, 3 rebounds. It's like he said in his postgame. It's like bottom line is Shai has to be better. Like if Shai's not the MVP, you're not winning the series. And the irony of Shai getting this MVP tonight, and it was announced, last night on Prime, and he received it in person tonight with Wemby standing there on the other side watching it. And Wemby and Mitch Johnson, the Spurs coach, both said that they took that as a chip on their shoulder kind of motivation, which I think all that's kind of BS. You're in the Western Conference Finals. How much more motivation do you need? But the irony of Wemby going out and doing what he did, Shai doing what he did, 30% from the field. He was 8 of 9 from the line. Like, to start this podcast off, as I'm almost 4 minutes in, if Shai's not better, the Thunder are not winning this series. That is far and away my number one takeaway from this. Number 2, one of the biggest gut punches of the night is wasting just an all-time Alex Caruso game. If the Thunder somehow find a way to pull this out, which would have been incredible, they were down 10 with like 7 minutes left in the fourth. Akon felt very nervous, and it just turned into an all-time basketball game after that. But what Caruso did tonight would have exceeded what he did against Jokic Game 7 last year. That's what everybody talks about, where he kind of, I don't want to say punked Jokic, but just took him out of the game being, what feels like half the size and half the weight. Well, against Wemby, he's like even more than half the size or less than half the size and probably about the same weight. It's a little different body type. But he shot 11 of 19, 8 of 14 from 3 for 31 points. And the parallelism of that is, there was a game last year, I believe it was game 1 of the Nuggets series, if I remember. It was either Nuggets or Pacers. I think it was the Nuggets. I just know he had a 20-plus point game, and it felt like we wasted a Caruso game. So maybe that's a good omen for the rest of the series, is that the trend will continue. You waste a good Caruso game, and then you go find a way to win it in 7. But what he did tonight he played 31 minutes, but it feels like 20 of them were all in a row the last 10 minutes of the game in the 2 overtime periods. That isn't exactly what it is, but he was in that 5-man group to close every quarter, the fourth quarter and the first 2 overtimes. Another takeaway from this game, the Thunder cannot go double big against this Spurs team, specifically with Wembanyama on the floor. Spurs race out to like a 7-0 start. Paycon was getting a little antsy. I always say the most important shot of ever, or shot or points of the game are always the first one, so we can sit down, at least to start. And it took a while to get that going. Caruso subbed into the game maybe 3 minutes in for Hartenstein because it just was very obvious that a clunky offense against an even just all-time defense, specifically all-time defender with very, very good defenders around that generational talent. The clunkiness of the offense just was glaring. And then Caruso checks in. He scored our first, I think, 7 points of the game. Shea was he wasn't overly aggressive to start. You kind of see that a lot where he kind of feels out the first few minutes or first, 5 or 6 minutes of a game and then goes and ends up with 10 points by the end of the first quarter. One thing that's noticeable about how Mark had rotations tonight, outside of immediately going away from the double big, which we'll see if those lineup changes happen immediately, because he was asked about that pregame of like, do you consider a lineup change? And he was like, outside of just the announcement of the starting lineup before the game for the arena and the broadcast, it's just about rotations. It has nothing to do with who starts. And like I said on the preview pod, it's all about who finishes it more so than who starts it. So I highly anticipate a lineup change for game 2. It just doesn't work against this team with double bigs. I mean, Hartenstein ended up playing 12 minutes in a 58-minute basketball game. Didn't make a shot, only shot once, had 2 rebounds. Just, you could tell Mark was kind of running him out there when Cornette was out there, which Cornette is their only other big really that plays. He's been very good for them. He won a championship in Boston. He's been a very, very underrated pickup for the Spurs. But he was basically matching Cornette because anytime Wemby was out, getting back to Shea's rotation, Shea came out with 3 or 4 minutes left in the first, and it felt like you were just matching Wemby's minutes. I mean, looking at the first quarter, Shea played 9 minutes, so he sat 3. So get this. First quarter of the game, 12-minute quarter. Evan Vassell played the entire quarter. So props to him. Stephon Castle played 10.5 minutes, so most of it. Wemby played 9 minutes and 16 seconds. Shea played 9 minutes and 16 seconds. To the absolute second that they were on the court. Quarter 2, Wemby played 9 minutes and 53 seconds. Shea played 9 minutes and 53 seconds. And just for the sake of the exercise, let's keep going through it. Third quarter is when things kind of unleashed the dogs. Shea played about 1.5 minutes more than Wemby, and then we won't do overtime because that was pretty much all of them, all the minutes. Shea played all but 3 seconds in the fourth quarter. Wemby played all but 54 seconds. The only reason Shea came out with those 3 seconds was the last 3 seconds of two-play defense against the Spurs at the end. But he's kind of matching Wemby for the most part. I don't know if it's just because Mark's like, if we don't have our MVP out there against their MVP, things could get out of hand quickly. And I think that's what that states. We'll see what the rotation looks like if he continues to do that. A lot of adjustments are going to have to be made. And the Spurs are going to make adjustments. And as we kind of said, it's like a chess match. But when looking at the holistic viewpoint of this game, I really think that it came down to the second quarter to me. We started slow. Thunder started slow. But you found a way to be tied at the end of the first quarter. And you kind of thought Shea was going to play the entire second. So you were like, oh, this is great. Dub played a decent amount of minutes too, just to touch on him while we're talking about that. He played a total of 37 minutes, so a little lower, working him back from that hamstring. They kind of managed him. They'd sit him like the first minute of overtime, him and Caruso, just to kind of keep him fresh. And I think it was kind of a way to try to get at least some kind of rest advantage, because all this to say, haven't brought this up yet, De'Aaron Fox was out tonight. So the Spurs were missing one of their starters, and they really only played 6 people big minutes. Only 7 people played double-digit minutes, with Luke Cornette and Harrison Barnes playing 9 and 5 minutes each. And so they went very heavy. That's one of the things that I kind of leaned on in this game is like, okay, this is where the depth's supposed to come in. Like you saw it against the Lakers. I mean, this is a different situation entirely, but the same concept of you just wear on them and then all of a sudden, boom, the dam breaks, Thunder avalanche. And it just felt like the Thunder could never get to that. But let's get to the second quarter. Thunder are tied with the Spurs, 20. And in this second quarter, the Thunder lose it by 7. They're down 7 going into halftime. They go 3 of 12 from 3. The Spurs go 4 of 9. Thunder are 5 of 21 from inside the arc. Spurs go 10 of 22. everything just felt like just pull your hair out frustrating in that second quarter. And it felt like we were just like Wiggins played. We got Wiggins minutes to start the second quarter. It felt like Mark was like, he kind of mentioned it in the Lakers series where he wants every player to touch the series just to kind of see what's flowing, what's working. Wiggins started the game in the regular season that the Thunder won by 21 points. He started that game. So I think he just wanted to see what was happening. It was one of those situations where they were getting the ball out of Shea's hands quickly, early and often, and it always ended up with, shocker, a corner three-pointer, which is basically what's going to make or break an NBA basketball game in the playoffs, is what the Thunder have figured out in the last 3 years, or what we've experienced as Thunder fans. Wiggins didn't have that. He was -7, 0 of 3 from 3. He missed the third one, and Mark immediately pointed at Jared McCain and said, "You're in." And that was the last we saw of Wiggins. So you could tell he was just trying stuff. I think J. Will didn't play well tonight. They had him at the 5 against Wemby, and that just did not work. I know that's shocking. He played 10 minutes tonight, -6 in the box score, didn't take a shot. One of the more perplexing things that I think a lot of people are going to talk about in a game that the Thunder were spraying from all over the place. I mean, the first half, the Thunder shot 27% from 3, which was 100% buoyed by the 4 of 7 from Alex Caruso. He hit 4 of the 6 threes in the first half. In a game that everything's being funneled to three-point shooting, it makes sense that Jared McCain was out there. We saw Isaiah Joe for 16 seconds in this game. He came in for like the last 10 seconds of a period. I think it was the second quarter. Yes, the second quarter in that half, he's out there for 16 seconds. I don't know if it's because of the size of the Spurs and they don't think he can handle it, but you're putting McCain out there. And McCain had moments, hit a big 3, did his celebration to the crowd the same way that cool picture is from earlier in the playoffs. McCain had a couple of takes to the basket. I mean, he showed value in this game and did things that warranted keeping him on the court, which is what you needed. And I'm just shocked that, we're giving Wiggins, almost 4 minutes, 3 minutes and 57 seconds, and we're only giving Joe 16 seconds in a game where like Mark's like, we're going to try everything out. I don't know if there's something wrong with Isaiah Joe. That's something that I listened to some of Mark's press conference. What I heard from the reporters, no one really brought it up, but we'll see what adjustment is made in game 2 to see if Isaiah Joe is able to crack this rotation. Another note. We go from just like, how did Presti find AJ Mitchell in the second round? I mean, I've notated it multiple times. I went and spent good money on a rookie card with his autograph and signature. And he was out there for, he played 33 minutes. He was out there in all the closing lineups. He was out there in most of overtime. He shot 5 times, was 2 of 5, had 4 rebounds, 5 assists. So he did impact the game. But like, to me, just all of this comes down to you have the Big Gotti Wembanyama line. Dylan Harper, who I haven't talked about yet, probably was the Spurs' second best player tonight. 24 points, 7 steals, 6 assists, 11 rebounds. I mean, he's the one that it's like, it just made everything work in terms of building the Spurs team. You got Wemby, you had Castle the next year, and Castle's a good player, but them getting Harper, his craftiness around the basket. I don't know if I ever saw him take a shot on the right side. He always gets back to his left hand as a lefty, but he knows how to use his body. I think he's 6'7" and just built very strong, and he's only a rookie. And so he's only going to get better. He's the one that's like, man, you're telling me this guy, we have to put up with him. He's only 6'5". He feels like he played like he was as tall as Wemby tonight, but he played great tonight. Castle, he had 17 points, 35%, 1 of 6 from 3. Kind of ironic. We talked about Castle's shooting variance and how that's impacted games in the past. He made his first 3 of the night, and it was the very first possession of the game, and it was just like no, here we go. And then he missed the remaining 5 that he took to finish 1 of 6 from 3. He had 17 points, 6 rebounds, 11 assists. Champagnie hit some timely shots. Vassell hit timely shots. It's just one of those things where it was like the ball just did not bounce our way in some very big moments. Just to touch on the refs, they didn't make or break this game, Both these teams are incredibly difficult to officiate because of the level of physicality, multiple reviews for flagrants, which none of them were upgraded. And it just, I don't want to harp on that. For a while, it did feel like they were only calling it for the Spurs. As a Thunder fan, I'm sure there were times that Spurs fans thought they were only calling it for the Thunder. One of the things I saw, so at about 10 p.m., wherever we were in the game, late in the game, Zach Zarba, who is one of the better refs, I think, in the NBA, or at least you know his name, which I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. He had called 10 straight fouls against Oklahoma City and did not whistle once against the Spurs, which I'm sure is a coincidence. It's just kind of an ironic, like you're scrolling Twitter as you're getting ready to do this podcast, and it's like, wish that hadn't happened. So I don't think there's anything to complain about on that side of it. But moving past first quarter, second quarter, again, you lose it by 7, offense is clunky. You're going into halftime in a hole, and you're like, okay, this is going to be tough. You get down 10 in the fourth, and going into that, the Thunder cut it to probably 4 or 5. I don't know, or I don't remember the exact amount, but there were 4 minutes left. I think Wemby was off the court at the time or was about to come back in. And I texted a group chat and was like, these next 4 minutes are going to determine the game. And I think it was like a 1-point game, and the next thing you know, the Thunder are down 7, I think, going into the fourth. And so that was tough to see. You didn't have them close that third quarter like they have in the Lakers series, where it's just like, here's the avalanche and everyone, you're climbing uphill the rest of the game. That just didn't come. It just felt like all game the Thunder were put it like they'd make a run, Spurs would counterpunch, and you're back to square one. So, I mean, like major tip of the cap to the Spurs for responding to that. At one point, the Thunder got down 10 with about 7 minutes left. And it was just like, oh, man. Like, I think it was 87-77, something like that. Caruso hits a 3, and it was like, all right, Paycom, there's a little bit of juice. Like, let's get this going. Next thing you know, this becomes a game. This becomes an all-timer. Like, bottom line, was an all-time game. And again, I wish that we had just it's so much better if you win the all-timer, you know? The Thunder find a way to come back. I mean, it just felt like we were always down 4. We were never down 2 or 3. We'd answer, we'd cut it, we'd hit a big 3, whether that be regulation or the overtimes, and then we'd give up an and 1. So you're right back to where you started. So the momentum just constantly was trying to come to you, and we just couldn't seal it. To end overtime, there was just some insane shot making, some insane strategy in terms of calling timeouts, shot making. Shea hit 2 clutch free throws. They call timeout. Wemby goes in, gets a 2-point bucket to fall over Dub, and then we call timeout. Shea scores with 3 seconds left off of a great out of bounds after timeout play. And at one point, we thought they called a foul. Like, we were like, oh my God, an and 1 to win it. But the Spurs called timeout. The arena was so loud, it was hard to hear. The ensuing possession was the moment that I was like, we're going to win this freaking game. There's 3 seconds left. We talked about so much, and I haven't talked about this yet, and it's a major point for the rest of the series. Chet didn't play great tonight. He was not good. In his 40, almost 1 minutes, 2 of 7 from the field, he did hit 2 threes. So he did not make a single 2-pointer in this game. But ended up with 8 rebounds. You're sitting there and you're watching this and you're like, oh my God, like Wemby's going to have his moment. Like, that was the frustrating part. Like, it was like, you're going to introduce him. He's not going to have to take his whelps and he's going to get all this praise. And he then followed it up, and there's more to talk about there. But you're like, Wemby's going to hit a game winner. It's just going to be a giant gut punch. Little did we know the gut punch would just come later. But Wemby drives left. Chet blocks him to send it into overtime. And Paycom lost it. I'm sending texts telling everyone around me, like, bury them. You have the momentum. You clawed all the way back. You finally got there. You finally got at least close to the mountaintop. And we couldn't seal the deal. First overtime comes out. The main thing to talk about in that overtime is, we finally take a lead. Caruso hits a massive 3 to go up 1, I believe. Regardless, we were up 1, have a run out in transition, Dub dunk to go up 3, and it just feels massive. Caruso's making play after play. He's stripping the ball from Wemby. Dub had a great strip on Wemby. Caruso gets a rebound, is running to the baseline and throws it off of Wemby, and Paycom's losing their mind. You're up 3 with the ball. There's like maybe a minute, or like maybe less than a minute left in the game. Like, you are just like, we did it. Like, that's how it felt. It was like, Shea's going to go down and hit like a midi or get fouled or there's something's going to happen. We're going to score literally just 1 more point. Get up 2 possessions. And we just never could. We go down. I think Dub tried to hit like this like kind of baseline fadeaway, or excuse me, free throw line, extended fadeaway. No good. Chet kind of gets bumped. Looking back at it, he kind of flailed and fell down. His guy gets the rebound. They run it up, and Wemby hits a 30-footer. And the worst part is it's about the same spot that, longtime Thunder fans remember the 2016 Curry game winner in double overtime. It was a regular season game, so not the same. But Wemby pulls up and drains it. We call timeout. There's 26.3 seconds left, I think it was. We hold the ball mostly for the last. We get a shot off. They get the ball with like 0.7 seconds left. We swing it. Dub has an open look at three. He doesn't make it. Spurs call timeout. As Harper's getting the rebound, he basically lands out of bounds. And this is just great coaching from Mitch Johnson that he is right next to the official. And the second that ball even touches the fingertips of Harper, immediately calls timeout. They award it to him. They say it happened before he stepped out of bounds. Paycom's losing it. Caruso makes a great play on Castle to block a layup. Again, just an all-time Caruso game. And then in the second quarter, just like stuff just kept going the Spurs way. Again, they got up 4. We'd hit a 3. Dub hit a massive 3 in this overtime period. Kaysen hit a massive 3 in these overtimes. Like the shot making was unreal. Again, if you were a neutral observer, you had to love that game. It was an all-timer. People are talking about like the level of basketball in that game rivals like the 2016 Thunder Warriors, like a lot of the Cavs Warriors, like all-timers. Like it was that level of basketball. It was amazing. It sucks being on the other side of it, but I think it was 114-115. Dub hits the 3 to cut it to that. We go down. Harper gets an and-1. At one point, I think Caruso hit another one, Queso or whoever it was. There were back-to-back possessions where it felt like we hit massive 3s to get in it, and we just couldn't get a stop. And so many times when we're not getting that stop, the ball's just bouncing around on the ground. They're a little careless with the ball, it felt like in overtime. Off of a rebound, bad bounce, the ball just didn't bounce your way. And we're literally, one play here or there away from, as the home team and the favorite in the series, feeling like we stole game 1. Which is kind of weird to say. And so it's back to the drawing board for game 2. I don't know what we'll see. I know Oklahoma City's, they've responded before last year. When you look at the 3 home playoff losses for the Thunder and the two most recent playoff runs, it was 2 game winners last year and a double overtime tonight. So just some classic moments. And of course, they're all at home. And none of them are in our favor. We haven't had like a game winner in the playoffs in our favor. We haven't had anything like that go our way at home, which is unfortunate. We'll find it eventually. Maybe we find it Wednesday night. When looking at kind of, scoping out and looking at how the rest of the series plays out, the biggest thing that the Thunder can do is find a way to come back and have game 5 in Paycom Center, at worst 2-2. You have to, game 2, biggest must win since game 7 of the finals last year. That was the ultimate must win. But massive game. The next, I don't know if you, last year we kept calling everything the biggest game in franchise history. Well, you've won a championship now. So I don't think it's at that level, but it's a must win. It's the biggest must win of the season. You can't go to San Antonio down 0-2. You have to find a way to win game 2. In the past, when the Thunder have lost game 1 to the Nuggets and to the Pacers, Thunder came out and boat raced both those teams in game 2. 30-plus point games is what it felt like. I hope that happens in game 2. The thing that kind of happens is does the team that steals the one on the road get a little complacent and be like, all right, the job is done. We just have to go home now. We got our one. Because they say a series doesn't start until a home team loses. Well, we're starting this one early. So I don't get the sense that San Antonio is going to do that. I remember feeling like Minnesota did that big time against San Antonio when they stole game 1 and then just kind of coasted in game 2, got blown out. Does Fox play? Where is he at? Do they rest him further? Because they're like, hey, we're up 1-0. Now let's try to get him a little bit more time. And we're already at worst 1-1 going back home. Try to get him to Friday when game 3 is. I don't know. It was kind of Mitch Johnson said in his pregame that he expected them to go, and then he didn't. And so we'll see how that plays out. When thinking about what the Thunder need to do, Shea needs to be better, shot making specifically. It's so weird because it's like, all right, a bad Shea, bad check game. Does the Caruso just 31 point barrage, does that cancel out that? Yes and no to me. I don't think, it's a safe bet that Shea's not going to play that bad again. You also have others around him, hopefully hitting shots. Dort went 1 of 5 tonight. Dub 1 of 3. He hit the massive one in overtime. What does the rotation look like? Are you starting Kaysen? I think one person that needs to get a shout out, I just said his name, was Kaysen. I mean, Kaysen had some massive moments. Big three. There was a moment we're trying to get back in it. He forces an 8-second violation on the Spurs. It was so loud in there that Dub was so pissed off, like snapped at the ref, like to the point where someone was like, hey, don't get a tech. It's our ball. He thought they called a jump ball. They called an 8-second violation, so it was our ball. But Kaysen was massive. Massive. Dort didn't play a lot in that second quarter. We kind of started putting him on Wemby. The thing with Wemby, those small guys, anytime you kind of bump him and he's so big and his body's so just like awkward that like any little bump that you do against anyone else in the NBA, he kind of flails and makes it look weird and they call a foul. And so it's going to be interesting to see. Caruso did the best at guarding him, shocker enough. Kept rotating on him, but he just could shoot over all of them. You can't let him position himself that far into the paint. You got to let him catch it, above the free throw line if you can. Easier said than done. But I think you see a lineup change in the starting lineup game one because, as we've seen, just an all-time game, every second counts. You can't let it go like, oh, we'll see how it works for 2 minutes. It's like, no, I think this needs to be a reactionary thing. But people have to hit shots. I think we were terrified of Wemby. He only had 3 blocks, and a couple of those came in overtime. But specifically, that was weird. We were down 6, and we ran a play to get Dub going to the rim, and Wemby just swallowed it. He did this pose by the bench. Super cringe. Wemby's becoming just an all-time villain for the Thunder. But another point that happened, I think we were up 3 or 1 or 3. I think we were up 106, 105. We have a 2-on-1 fast break. AJ pulls up for 3, and I think that may have been, I don't know. Regardless, there were so many things. The kill shot never came for the Thunder. And you got to hit those in game 2. You got to start off hot. You got to make the Spurs feel the pressure. Defensively, outside of just continuing to kind of gnaw at Wemby, just kind of continue to kind of try to rough him up. How many turnovers did the Spurs have? Let's see. They had 21 turnovers to our 14. Stephon Castle had 11 turnovers tonight. One of the things they say in every level of basketball, if you're playing against a big that's just super hard to get, Wemby's obviously just in a tier in its own, you have to pressure the ball. You have to make it hard, get up in them, make it hard to even see the pass. Because if they can't see it, they're not going to throw it. And Wemby's such a freak. Half the time it looks like it's an offensive goaltend because they're just throwing the ball up there and he just doesn't even jump, just catches it, places it in the basket. But you have to get up and pressure those guys. We'll see if Fox plays. But Harper only had 1 turnover, but especially at the end, you could see Dub getting into him a little bit. You got to make those guys feel you. And then it's harder to feed Wemby. Let Caruso kind of work it a little bit so maybe he gets out of position. But you got to pressure up. You got to force turnovers. There were a couple moments where it felt like we needed to get things going, and there's a stepped out of bounds turnover, or Shea kind of loses it going to the rim, and we want a foul call, but it doesn't happen. But Shea only having 4 turnovers isn't as bad as I thought it would be. But you have to pressure the Spurs. You have to get up into them. They're young guards. Their alpha guard is out. Whether or not, some people said that maybe Fox playing or not playing is beneficial to the Spurs because you get more Harper minutes and Keldon Johnson minutes. And so we'll see how that rolls for game 2. Yeah, Thunder just have to play better. It sucks. Probably the most somber walk out of Paycom Center I've experienced in a while, but just quiet, very quiet walking back to the car, especially from the euphoric moments of Chet blocking Wemby. That felt like a moment. And then, being up 3 with the ball in the first overtime and just not being able to, again, never really got up, multiple possessions. The Thunder were always fighting uphill. So the biggest key to me, come out game 2, you have to punch first. And you have to make the Spurs try to play catch up to you. They got comfortable in the Wolves series because outside of some fluke, weird game 1, Wemby flagrant 2 ejection, they never have really had to try to fight to get back into a game over the whole game. They make big plays tonight when they were down 3, the Wemby shot, whatever. But make them play from behind. Don't keep trying to play catch up. That was the thing that I felt in that second overtime. It was we ran out of that magic, if you want to call it, of we unloaded the gun. There weren't any of the big shots left, and we didn't take advantage of the ones that we did use, and the Spurs were a big reason why. So all that to say, I didn't expect to ramble on here for 34 minutes about this on a solo pod, but a lot of thoughts. All-time basketball game. Again, wish I was a neutral fan. When looking at the rest of the series, like I said, you have to find a way. Worst case scenario, it's 2-2. Coming back home, game 5 here in Oklahoma City. That has to happen if you want to win this series. Find a way to win the next 4. Who cares? I picked the Thunder in 5, but that was majorly contingent on winning game 1. You got to win your home games to get that to happen. So honestly, if the Thunder are going to win this series, it now feels like you're picking the Thunder in 7, if I'm being honest. And the terrifying thing is, if the Spurs could win this in 6, the Spurs could win this in 4, if we don't find a way to play better. But I expect this team to. This is a better team than we saw last year, but I also think the Spurs are better than any team we've played on this 3-year playoff run that the Thunder are currently on. And so I think we're going to see just more all-time basketball games. It's my Whoop, I'm sure, is going nuts. I haven't looked at the stats yet. My poor wife was just like, she would sit there and not watch the game because she thought like she would hold her fan bam up and just track the score out of the corner of her eye, because she thought it would bring good luck, and it did. We flipped the switch. The biggest takeaway for me that I have to be better on, went and got the bottomless popcorn, but I got it from the Boomerang Diner instead of the popcorn stand outside of my station because I wanted the refillable soda as well. You can't get that at the popcorn station. The Boomerang Diner popcorn, it's like pre-popped. It's not good. It wasn't warm. Weird. Like it just was like almost stale. And the one outside of our section, fresh popcorn. As soon as I went, third quarter, I went and dumped out the first box and went back and got the bottomless from the popcorn stand, and things flipped, and the Thunder started playing better. I'll be better on that. I'll start immediately getting the bottomless popcorn at the popcorn stand. That's on me. I recommend all Thunder fans, whatever superstition that you did tonight that didn't work, go back to the drawing board. Did you wear your lucky shirt but not your lucky underwear? Did you sit in the same seat? Did you watch with the right people? Whatever it might be, you got to get back to the drawing board. There's a lot of basketball to be played, and we got to find a way to get this done. Because again, it's like, win it while you can, because the Spurs are coming. Not only are they coming, they're here. And so great opportunity ahead. It'd be amazing to pull this off, be an all-time series. Give me the Thunder in 7. That's my updated prediction. If they make me really good, look really good, and it's Thunder in 5, would love that too. But hats off to the Spurs. Wemby's insane. I don't know how he's physically possible, and the Thunder have to play better. We need the MVP to be the MVP. Matt mentioned it on the prior pod. Chet's a huge key in this. Another deer in the headlights game. Hit 2 threes, but literally 0 2-pointers in 40-plus minutes of time. That has to be better. AJ, need to see some scoring from him, only with 4 points. But we'll see. Mark said it. This team's good at problem solving. He's looking forward to getting into the lab, as they say, to figure out what they need to do to figure this out. And we're in for another just high-stress playoff series, Oklahoma City fans. So buckle up. Bring it on Wednesday if you're going to the game. Switch up whatever superstition you need to, and let's find a way to make this 1-1 go into San Antonio. With that, I'm going to wrap it up. We'll be back Wednesday night after Game 2 to give you a recap of that, and with that, we'll wrap it up. We'll talk to you then. See you.